sometimes controversial, always politically incorrect, and pro-life without exception, without compromise, and without apology. It's the Pro-Life America podcast with your hosts, Sarah Waits and the president of Life Dynamics, Mark Crutcher.
Hello, I'm Mark Crutcher from Life Dynamics, and we have been promising you for some time that we're going to have a new podcast, and it's ready to take wing on Thursday, March the 12th, coming up here in just a few days.
That's a taking flight.
Sarah is flapping her arms like she's going to take off any second now, but I'm pretty sure she's not.
Well, officially, I am taking off. This is my first thing, the name of the credits. This is my origin story.
Right. Yes. Yeah, Sarah is going to be joining me in each show. And
bless your heart.
Sometimes, yeah, y'all say a prayer for me. Sometimes if she's out or something, my daughter Sheila will be here. And then we really need prayers when that happens.
Be begging for me to come back.
I don't know about that. But anyway, we're going to be talking about a lot of things on the Pro-Life America podcast. And by the way, to get it, you'll need to go to lifedynamics.com/podcast.
Yeah, eventually, once we have some episodes going, we'll be up on all the platforms. But till then, it'll be on the website.
Technology requires that we have at least one in the bank before we actually get onto all those platforms. But anyway, it's going to be a great deal. And I want to let people understand something before the podcast starts on Thursday. We're going to be tackling a lot of issues, and we're going to be covering a lot of subjects. And if you know anything about Life Dynamics, you know this has always been our part of the movement, is we bring a different perspective from what other pro-life groups do. That's going to be particularly true in this new podcast that we're doing, because we have a lot of opportunities in the pro-life movement right now. I've been at this over 35 years, and I can tell you, we have never had the opportunities to actually end this Holocaust like we have right now. We have opportunities right now that we have never even dreamed about having in the past. And yet, we also have a lot of problems in the pro-life movement that if we don't address them, we're wasting our time. I mean, we saw that down in
the Student Action Summit that was hosted by Turning Point, which was great because we got to meet a lot of young conservatives. Most of the people who came up to our table were pro-life. There was a couple people who were on the fence, and ironically, there was a couple people who were pro-choice.
Yeah, but the overwhelming majority were pro-life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, even they were telling us that they're not equipped to defend the pro-life position on their college campus, and they're not getting any help from these so-called groups that supposedly support students on campus. Yeah. And we brought them some materials that they were snapping up.
Yeah.
And it was really impressive to see that. But the fact is, at its very core, the biggest problem we have, I think, right now in this particular arena is that we have a lot of people in the pro-life movement, and again, this especially applies to the people that have come in the last few years, who don't truly know what it means to be pro-life.
So to give a definition to kickstart this off, what does it mean to be pro-life? Like, what is a good definition?
Well, I asked some of these kids down there, and they say, oh, we're very pro-life, we really support. And I'd say, okay, what does being pro-life mean to you?
And oftentimes they'll say, like, abortion is bad.
Yeah, I'm opposed to abortion. Being opposed to abortion means nothing.
Hillary Clinton says she's opposed to abortion.
Yeah, right. That's right. One of her biggest quotes is that every abortion is a failure. Nobody supports abortion. Yeah, everybody's opposed to it.
All the pro-abortion politicians who are out there, they will openly say with all the sad face and, stern voices, oh, abortion is a horrible situation. Right. And all that. They don't say, yay, we love abortion. No, but they just say, but we think it should be allowed without restriction.
Your opposition to abortion means nothing.
Yeah.
And you say, well, then what does pro-life mean? What pro-life means is the unborn child is a living human being and entitled to the same rights and privileges as every other living human being. That's what being pro-life means. You can give the perfect definition of the word pro-life or the term pro-life and never say the word abortion. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with abortion. It has to do with what you think about the unborn child. Yeah. And that's why I think we've made a mistake, for example, with politicians. Every time somebody new comes out here, they're running for city council or dog catcher or you say dog catcher.
Do you go to many rallies where people are running for dog catcher?
I've never heard of anybody running for dog catcher.
You talk about that a lot, like that's a thing. Right. Like there's community dog catcher rallies.
I've never known of anybody electing their dog catcher, but nonetheless, you hear that all the time. That guy couldn't win dog catcher,
Ah, wise guy, huh?
But anyway, no matter what they're running for, If they're new to the political spectrum and we've never heard of them, the pro-life movement's going to visit them and say, what's your position on abortion? We need to quit doing that.
Yeah.
What we need to be saying to these people is, look, we're from the local pro-life group or the state pro-life group or the national pro-life group or whatever, but we don't want to know your position on abortion. We don't care what your position on abortion is. We don't care what you feel about abortion, what you think about it, what you drink. We don't care. Your position on abortion means absolutely nothing to us. What we want to know is, what is your position on the unborn child? Is the unborn child a living human being or not?
And surprisingly, for the pro-choice community, that is a really hard question for them. They can't figure that one out.
Well, again, let's go back to the Hillary Clinton analogy. If you just ask Hillary Clinton, what's your position on abortion? Oh, I'm opposed to it. I think every abortion's a failure. It's a tragedy, and we ought not to be, and no woman wants to have an abortion. Forget that. That doesn't mean anything. She's the most radically pro-abortion person you could possibly imagine, and yet she'll tell you she's opposed to abortion. Mm-hmm. I want to get her in here and say, okay, you're opposed to abortion. Why?
She will never come on. She'll come on the Howard Stern show to talk about who knows what, but she won't come here.
Oh, she wouldn't come anywhere where there's somebody pro-life.
Yeah.
But ask her, what is your position on the unborn child? Is the unborn child a living human being or not? And the other side is always the one that talks about, we support science, except when it comes to the unborn child. That's the area that all of a sudden now science doesn't matter. It's what you believe and what you feel.
The other day, a pro-choice person told me that it's not a human being, it is a pre-human being, and then proceeded to tell me that was actual science. And when I asked him what science textbook that came from, or medical journal or something, they didn't have anything for me. They just kept on saying, it's science, as if I repeated a bunch that will suddenly make it true.
Yeah, you get crickets when you ask them that deal, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly what you get from them.
Yeah.
Would you back them into a corner? Oh, we're the pro-science people. Oh, really? Okay.
Then they just tell you, keep your rosaries off their ovaries or anything. Even though you're not Catholic and you've never mentioned religion in the whole discussion, they suddenly fall back to that.
Well, I've told you before, I encountered a guy one time who was carrying a bumper sticker that said, keep your rosaries off my ovaries. And I thought, pal, if you got ovaries, you got bigger problems than what you're letting on here. But anyway, we're going to try to bring some sense back to this, because I have seen over the years, and it happens slowly. It's the Frank Peretti frog in a hot water deal. He always made that argument that you can put a frog in hot water and he'll jump out. But if you put him in cool water and heat it slowly, he'll stay in there until it kills him, because things happen gradually and you don't even notice they're happening. A lot of things have happened in the pro-life movement.
In America today, that's been so gradual.
That are just real gradual, that you don't know them while they're going on until it's a thing.
So you open your eyes and the crazy is all around you.
Right. Yeah, the nutcases are out there. So anyway, we're going to be addressing a lot of those issues, and this one that we talked about today is kind of a central theme, is one of the earlier shows that we're going to do. And it's also going to be very educational. There's a lot about this issue that people don't understand.
We're going to call out the crazy, though. That's going to be our mission. We're going to call out the crazy.
That's what we got you here for. You recognize who the crazies are. They're one of your people. They just don't happen to be pro-life, but they're still nutty as you are.
Maybe. I'm pretty nutty.
Pretty nutty. Anyway, and we're going to try to have some fun, too. There's no reason to say we can't have...
That's why you have me here. I bring the fun. You bring the serious, I bring the fun.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's
well,
exactly
anyway,
what it is.
I've always said, if you can't enjoy doing God's work, then you're not doing God's work. You ought to be able to enjoy it. But that's the sort of things that we're going to be talking about, and we'll be talking about this particular subject a lot more.
Be sure to join us this Thursday when our episode 1 comes out.
Episode 1, this Thursday, March 12th. Go to lifedynamics.com/podcast.
We'll see you then.
We'll see you then.